My name is Daniel Harper. I'm 41 now, living in a quiet loft in downtown Seattle, the kind of place with exposed brick and too many windows that let the rain streak down like tears on gray mornings. Back then, though, I lived in a glass-walled house on Lake Washington with Elena, my wife of 11 years. We met in grad school at Stanford. I was finishing an MBA. She was getting her JD/MBA dual degree. She was brilliant, magnetic, the person who could walk into a room and own it without seeming to try. I was steadier, the one who turned her ideas into spreadsheets and timelines. After graduation, we moved to Seattle, started a tech company focused on supply chain logistics software, and grew it from a garage prototype to a $120 million valuation. We were partners in every sense, or so I believed. The distance crept in slowly. Late nights at the office turned into separate bedrooms because one of us was always too exhausted. Vacations got postponed for funding rounds. Intimacy became a scheduled event that rarely happened. I told myself it was the price of building something extraordinary. I told myself she was under pressure. I told myself a lot of things. The truth arrived on a rainy Thursday in October, 2 days before the board meeting that would name her CEO. I'd flown back early from client trip in Portland and decided to surprise her with takeout from our favorite Thai place. The office was mostly dark when I arrived. I used my key card, walked the quiet hallway to her corner suite, and pushed the door open without knocking. Elena was on the couch with Marcus Lang, our 35-year-old VP of sales. His hand was under her blouse. Her head was tilted back, eyes closed, lips parted in a way I hadn't seen directed at me in years. They didn't hear me at first. When they did, Elena sat up slowly, smoothed her hair, and looked at me with something close to irritation, as if I'd interrupted an important meeting. "Daniel," she said, voice even, "you're back early." Marcus had the decency to look ashamed. He muttered something about needing to check emails and slipped past me. The door clicked shut behind him. I stood there holding the plastic bags of pad thai and green curry, steam fogging the air between us. "How long?" I asked. She sighed, stood, and walked to her desk like we were discussing a budget overrun. 8 months. 8 months. While I was flying red eyes to close deals, while I was staying up until 3 a.m. fixing bugs in the code base, while I was telling investors how lucky I was to have a wife who shared my vision. Why? My voice cracked on a single word. Elena folded her arms. Because I needed someone who could keep up with me. Marcus excites me. He challenges me. You become background noise, Daniel. Reliable background noise, but noise all the same. The words landed like a slap. I felt heat rush to my face, then drain away, leaving me cold. "I thought we were building this together," I said. "We were," she replied. Past tense. The board wants fresh energy at the top. They want me. And frankly, they've been questioning whether you're still the right person to run operations. Your numbers are solid, but solid isn't visionary. I stared at her. "So this is about the CEO role?" "It's about everything," she said. "I'm ready to lead alone. I don't want to keep carrying someone who's coasting on what we built 10 years ago." Carrying me. Coasting. The woman who used to fall asleep on my shoulder during red-eye flights now looked at me like I was a line item she could expense out of her life. I left the food on her desk and walked out. I don't remember the drive home. I only remember sitting in the dark living room until dawn, replaying every moment I'd mistaken her ambition for shared ambition, every time I'd swallowed disappointment to keep the peace. The next morning, Friday, was the board meeting. I dressed in my best suit, told myself we would talk privately afterward, that marriages survived worse, that we could separate the personal from the professional. Instead, she fired me publicly. Security, 2 men I'd hire myself, waited outside the boardroom. One took my laptop bag, the other my badge. I walked through the open plan office I'd helped design, past employees who suddenly found their monitors fascinating. Nobody met my eyes. By the time I reached the elevator, my phone was already buzzing with texts from colleagues. "Are you okay? What happened? Did Elena really?" I turned it off. That weekend, I moved into a hotel. I didn't cry until Sunday night, alone in a room that smelled of industrial cleaner, when I realized I had no idea who I was without the company and without her. Monday morning, I woke up to an email from our corporate counsel. Elena had exercised her rights under our post-nuptial agreement, drafted years ago when the company valuation spiked, to buy out my shares at a predetermined formula that valued them far below current market price. She'd also frozen our joint accounts pending divorce proceedings. Everything had changed, exactly as the title promised, but not in the way I expected. I spent the next weeks in a fog. Friends reached out, then drifted away when I couldn't muster small talk. I ran along the Burt Gilman Trail every morning until my lungs burned, trying to outrun the shame. I replayed her words on loop, background noise, coasting, carrying. One evening in November, I sat in a quiet bar near Pike Place, nursing a whiskey I didn't really taste. The bartender, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes, asked if I was all right. I laughed, a bitter sound, and told her no. She listened while I poured out the whole story. When I finished, she slid another drink across the bar and said, "Sounds like she did you a favor, honey. Cruel way to do it, but a favor all the same. You get to find out who you are when nobody's clapping." The words stuck. I started small. I took a consulting gig for a mid-sized logistics firm in Bellevue. I reconnected with old classmates who'd gone into different industries. I read books I'd meant to read for years. I learned I was actually pretty good at turning around struggling operations. Better in some ways, without the weight of Elena's vision overshadowing mine. 6 months later, that mid-sized firm offered me the role of chief operating officer. I accepted. The company was smaller than ours had been, but the team respected me. They listened when I spoke. Decisions moved quickly. I could feel my instincts sharpening again. A year after the boardroom firing, our old company, now fully under Elena's leadership, began to stumble. Supply chain disruptions exposed flaws in the new platform Marcus had championed. Customers left. Investors grew nervous. The stock dipped. I read the news with surprisingly little satisfaction. I felt detached. The company wasn't mine anymore. Neither was the pain. Elena reached out once, 9 months after the divorce was final. A terse email asking if I'd consider consulting to help stabilize things. I replied politely that my schedule was full and wished her the best. That was the last time we spoke. These days I mentor younger founders. I tell them to build companies with people who see them clearly, not as stepping stones. I tell them ambition is healthy, but contempt is poison. I tell them the real measure of success isn't the valuation or the title. It's waking up in the morning knowing you respect the person in the mirror. I still live in a loft with the rain-streaked windows. Some evenings I cook for one and eat on the balcony, watching fairies cross the sound. I date occasionally, cautiously. I'm in no rush. The humiliation from that boardroom never fully leaves you. It sits in the chest like a small, cold stone. But over time the stone gets smooth by living well, by choosing dignity over bitterness, by refusing to let someone else's cruelty define your worth. If you're listening to this and you've been discarded, fired, cheated on, diminished, know that the story isn't over when they walk away thinking they've won. The story restarts the moment you stop begging for a seat at a table that was never truly yours. You don't need revenge. You just need to keep becoming the person they underestimated. And one day, without announcement or fanfare, you'll realize you already have. Thank you for listening. If this resonated, leave a comment and tell me where you're rebuilding from. You're not alone.